man. Okay. There are so many things in life that come to an end that you've been hoping, you're excited for them to come to an end. Like, just desperately waiting. I'm trying to think of witty examples right now. I'm trying to think of things that we're all like, is it, over? Like
COVID?
if they're like,
COVID?
for instance, if they're done,
Yeah.
well, COVID, yeah, see.
That's not a joke, though. Like,
COVID.
everyone's literally...
I mean, we're all excited for COVID to come to an end.
Sure.
I'm thinking more like if it turns out that they really are done with the Cars franchise, then fantastic. That's over.
Right.
The Fast and the Furious movies.
Right.
Our series with 007 has literally been a roller coaster. It's been, we started out sort of, on some level track.
Sure.
Going, okay, like here we go. We're getting into this. And then there was a little bit of a chain lift and we went up a little bit. And then then the exciting moment happened where you crest and we headed over the top. But then something really strange happened. Something unpredicted happened, right? So typically on a roller coaster, you've got the flat track and then the chain lift takes you up. And then however high up you went on the chain lift, that's how far you come back down.
Sure.
This roller coaster, they had like tunneled under the earth. They had done, because we only went up a little bit, but by God, did we plummet. And just like kept going. But
just when you thought you reached the bottom, there was like a level below.
There was like, yeah. But listen, to complete the analogy, all of that downwards gravity gave us the necessary momentum that we needed in order to come soaring out of that hole and just, almost go, oxygen's getting a little thin up here. Should we, is this roller coaster legal? It's so high. I'm a bird just shit on my head. I don't like what's. I'm so high I could have shit on a bird's head. Like
I was just gonna say, yeah.
It's So, having said all that, which was entirely unnecessary, I'm a little sad. I'm a little sad. It feels strange. I'm feeling a little nostalgic. I'm feeling a little reminiscent. This is the end. I mean, it's not the end, because No Time to Die might come out someday. And then several years down the road, when we have our new Bond, I can only assume we'll review that. Like, we're going to keep reviewing these.
And we'll review it when it's the new one, like that's not Daniel Craig, and then we'll review the 27 leading up to that one. So we'll do the whole series again.
We'll do it again.
Yeah.
And again and again. And actually, you know what I am thinking? There's something I've been thinking. Let's have a meeting about the podcast right now during the podcast. We got to do an episode. I'm thinking between now and No Time to Die. We got to do an episode that is just like, so in conclusion, right? Like, I'd love to take, I've got a list of 26 Bond films here, and I'd love to finally put these things, like right now they're listed in order of release, and there's a ranking beside each one.
Yep.
I'd love to click the, rearrange by numerical order. And start, okay, worst Bond film of all time, then this, then this, then this, then this, and give out, and compare our lists.
Sure. Yeah.
I think that's an episode.
Maybe,
I think that's something we gotta do. We gotta, okay, in summary,
right.
Here's how your favorite Bond film ranks according to us. Here's a quintessential Bond film leading up to No Time to Die, so on and so forth.
Sure. Yeah.
But anyways, this is it. This is it before No Time to Die. So it's going to be several months before we do another Bond episode. And then after that, it's going to be several years before we revisit Bond.
Yeah.
Which is fun. It's fun to talk about, it's fun to talk about the podcast in terms of years to come.
Sure.
Because it's no secret that we keep talking about it. We're looking at upgrading our gear. In a significant way, in a way that would indicate our interest in longevity. And I think the only reason is because we feel a duty now. As long as they're going to be making Bond films, we need to put our overrated opinions, or underrated, depending on who you are, we need to put our opinions on the internet.
Sure. Oh, for sure.
And I'm just Are you emotional?
Well, I'm just doing a quick calculation here. Approximately not too far from a quarter of our episodes, like about 23% of our episodes, are James Bond films. So you could say they're pivotal to the overall status of this show.
It's part of who we are.
We are the movie James Bond men.
We are, yeah. Or someone suggested at some point the franchise men. And you know what? I had a thought. I was like, at first I was like, oh, that's really laughable. And then I thought about it a little bit more, and I was like, oh, God, like, it's too bad it's too late to, or too bad it'd be such a hassle to rebrand.
Like, yeah.
I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind just because I'm the completist, because I'm the guy that loves to grab a series and just work through it. I'm like, I wouldn't mind that at all. I wouldn't mind just grabbing, to have 2 or 3 series going at a time and just keep working through franchises. But, it is what it is. Let's do this. Are you
Let's
ready?
get into it.
Can we do it?
One more time.
Let's do it.
One more time.
One more time for the win, hopefully. So we take the Bond films, yada, 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 8 categories. We rank them from 0 to 10. We take all of those. We average them out. That gives us an overall score for the film. Not necessarily is it the best Bond film, but is it the most quintessential Bond film, the best rounded Bond film.
Sure.
If you're looking for the Bond experience. Okay, so plot. Sure. I want to say right off the bat, I went into this, I wanted to love this film.
And
I'm not saying I didn't.
I don't know.
No, I'm not saying I didn't. Okay. I'm just saying, for context, sure. I went into this film really wanting this to be a life-changing James Bond film. I wanted this to edge out all the others. I wanted this to be number 1. And I think...
And for context, the newest life-changing James Bond, because I think Skyfall, the previous film, was your number 1.
Yeah. Okay. And so I wanted this to, springboard off of Skyfall for me.
Sure.
And I think, in some ways, I think my scoring will reflect that.
Okay.
But it'll be something we have to talk about.
Sure.
Sure. How I do think it's reflected in that, and how I don't think it's reflected in that.
Okay.
Okay. So plot. Let me pull up tell a joke while I pull up I'm so unprepared. Tell a joke.
A joke. I can't think of a joke, but what I will say is this is the first film with Spectre and Blofeld's first appearance since he was in Diamonds Are Forever in 1971.
Okay, I'm sure that was going to be a really funny joke, but I have it. I'm ready.
Oh, okay.
No, finish your thing.
Yeah, he was briefly in For Your Eyes Only, but they never actually showed his face because there were some contractual issues. So the last time we saw Blofeld was in Diamonds Are Forever in 1971. So that's a long time to go without Spectre's head honcho and Spectre, considering it was such a fundamental part of the series in the early days.
Leading up to it, yeah. Okay, so plot.
Okay.
I give plot a 7.
Okay.
Now, I think compared to Skyfall, this film is, as one of our listeners pointed out, is pretty boring.
Sure.
If it weren't for, as you said, if it weren't for the return of Spectre, And it being about, really getting to the bottom of who this organization is and figuring all this stuff out. I think it would have ranked much lower. It didn't. There was never really a lot going on.
Right.
And there was never really a feeling of great peril. At this point, we should probably just completely give up on having a publicly well-known location for our MI6 building, because security there is that building's, well, I mean, it's gone now, but my God, who, and I don't even understand, because we had that new underground layer.
Yeah.
In Sky, what happened to that? But, so there were some things about it that made me excited.
Sure.
There were things that payoffs that I kept waiting for, things that I really wanted to see happen, because of what the premise was, because of what the setup was.
Sure.
And they just never really happened. Or I never got a payoff that felt satisfying.
That's disappointing.
Yeah. So overall, a 7. So still, I mean, not a shit score.
No.
But definitely a downgrade from Skyfall.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I gave it an 8. So pretty close to where you were. I generally found it entertaining. I did think it was interesting Sam Mendes got a head start for 1917, because there was that opening continuous shot sequence, which is pretty cool. Pretty entertaining. Yep. I feel like we've had this before, but it didn't hurt it for me. We have Bond is off the case again. And the 00 branch is at risk of being shut down. I did think it was kind of, I don't know, not comical, but just kind of weird how M left a video for Bond, and as it should be. It wasn't like, I love you, James, have a good life, smell the flowers once in a while. It was like, James Bond, if you're watching this, I'm dead. Kill this random SOB that you've never heard of, will you? And he did.
And I really liked that. That's what brought it up for me. I was like,
sure.
Oh God, there's a mystery here. There's there's
a
message from beyond the grave. This is all very espionage. It's all very,
right.
confidential. Bond and now Moneypenny are the only two that know about it.
Sure.
And then it was.
Yeah. So the only two things that I actually do want to talk about that I kept it from getting a higher score. The one is, why is there an additional film? Why is No Time to Die coming out? Because all the storylines kind of completely get seamlessly resolved at the end of this film. So everything that kind of started in Casino that kind of branched out, and then it seems like it's resolved, and he drives away with the girl in the car at the end. And I want Daniel Craig back. I like Daniel Craig, but it does just seem like if they had just ended Spectre and said we're moving on and having someone new, I would have been like, yeah, that makes sense. It seems like a clean cut. So I am just curious.
Yeah.
If if this extra film will just feel like a random add-on.
Well, I think I've been thinking about that actually, and there's this thing in movies and filmmaking overall called money. And sometimes it causes creative decisions that are less than spectacular.
True.
I.e. Cats.
True. Yep.
9. Currently 9, and what will be 11 Fast and the Furious films. It's just it's hard to. I think it's hard to wake up in the morning and say, today is the day that I'm going to stop printing money.
Right.
Because that's essentially what they're doing. Is just printing money.
Yep. The only other thing that I thought kept me from having a higher score was I do feel the Mr. Silva connection to Spectre was a bit of a stretch. I felt like it was like, hey, how do we connect? Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, you could easily tie to Quantum. but we have nothing really to connect Skyfall. How can we? Oh, let's just say Silva was an agent of Spectre, and that'll kind of tie things here. That one felt a little forced to me. Not to the point that I gave it a bad score, but just to a point where I was like, okay, I'm not blown away by this. It just gets an 8. If it had made more sense, then I would have got higher. But yeah, 8 out of 10.
That didn't irk me. To me, that was the same as like, you know, in spoiler for the Rise of Skywalker. But to me, that was the same as finding out that Snoke was just Palpatine's puppet.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
It reeked of the same whatever to me, which didn't bother me. I was like,
Sure.
it played to the menacing factor of Blofeld. But
Yeah, that's fair.
next category, portrayal of Bond. I gave it a 10. It still gets a 10. Daniel Craig is phenomenal. He has way more dimension than any other Bond that we've had. He's getting a little older, so he'll soon have way more dementia than any other Bond as well. But that's irrelevant. You know, he's rough around the edges. He's grizzled. He isn't perfect. He you know, cocks it up a bunch, as Mallory would say. Don't cock it up. You know what? And he's just, I don't know. He's so good. It's the first time, with the exception in the past of like the odd reference to, and just in case you forgot, we did marry Bond off at one point and then killed her. It's really the only, Daniel Craig's Bond is the only example that we have of a Bond that the character continues to grow and be built on events from previous films. He becomes a little more emotionally damaged. He becomes a little better at his job. He becomes a little worse at his job. He becomes, you know, a little more sentimental about things. All of these different factors. Whereas in the past, it was just like, okay, let's take the same carbon copy character and drop him into a different plot.
Sure.
You know, it was like Sherlock Holmes. Each James Bond movie was like a Sherlock Holmes novel. Well, we'll just take a different character, we'll plop it in. And there's not really a strong indication of like, wow, did this one come before or after? Well, no, it's just kind of an episode out of time. It doesn't really matter when it happens. Whereas this, it very much does. It's very, you know, Bond, just like the plot of these films, Bond's progression is very linear. And you know, Daniel Craig, man, you could bounce a quarter off. Anyways, he's through and through. He's my James Bond. You know, and I'm now I've sent you this when we put it up on our Instagram page. Which is linked below. I now have a Daniel Craig James Bond and a Dame Judi Dench M vinyl, like the Funko Pop figures.
Nice.
Up on my shelf.
That's pretty cool.
Which, if anyone's wondering to get me for Christmas, you can't. There's literally, unless it's from a series or something that I haven't seen and I don't get the reference, you can't go wrong with a pop figure. That's
that's awesome.
They're like my kryptonite. I love those things.
Portrayal of Bond.
Bond gets a 10.
Yeah. I gave it a 9. I wasn't too far off. Casino Royale still is the 10 out of 10 for portrayal of Bond, but this one was pretty close. You know, I'll mirror a lot of the things you said, but, you know, we saw some more emotional spectrum with him. Not as much as Casino, but with Mr. White's daughter, like there were times he holds her hand when she was scared. They have somewhat of a sincere conversation on a train, kind of similar to the Vesper conversation. I got some reminiscent vibes from that. But, you know, he seems to care for her well-being for a James Bond. That's kind of remarkable, you know. And I did think this while watching Spectre. There was just some scenes where I was like, wow, like, consider the film series has been around for over 50 years. What an accomplishment for Daniel Craig, who, in my mind, and sounds from your mind as well, is the quintessential James Bond. That is such an accomplishment, right? That is so. That's very, very cool to not just join a film series and stay afloat, to be respectable, to have people say, yeah, he's not bad. He's no insert blank, but he's not bad. But he literally has spearheaded kind of a revival of the series, and it's an accomplishment. And he's kind of expanded his career, so it might not be the only thing he's known for, but definitely one of the main things I think Daniel Craig will be remembered for is this. So, 9 out of 10.
To show up and not only appropriately succeed your predecessors, but to set the new standard.
Yes.
That's huge.
Big.
And more than any actor going into that role could reasonably expect or hope for.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
So, villain. This will come as no surprise.
I actually have no way. No, I'm being sincere. I have no idea where, so I will be surprised one way or the other.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I also gave this a 10. I have been...
What?
I have been pining for Blofeld.
Sure.
I have been singing his praises for over 30 years worth of film. 30, almost close to 40, like 40 years of film.
Yeah.
And he didn't disappoint.
Sure.
He's menacing. Everything from like he doesn't even talk to people who aren't worthy. Like he doesn't do anything that he doesn't need to. Like he'll gesture one of his henchmen over so that they can move the microphone a couple inches closer to him. The fact that he's in this meeting, this room, and he knows Bond is in there, but he doesn't reveal that right away.
Mm-hmm.
And then he spends the first 120 seconds talking to Bond without making eye contact, right? So, and that was so menacing because it was like, Bond's like, oh shit, he knows I'm in here somewhere. And then with a turn of his face and direct eye contact, all of a sudden it's not just, oh, he knows I'm in here. It's, he knows, right? Like he's got me. Right.
Yeah.
Like I've walked right into a trap. So that was amazing. And just, his overall fearlessness, the horrific menacingness of like, I'm going to drill into your brain, Bond.
Yeah, that's kind of messed up.
And then, the icing on the cake for me was the fact that he ends up deformed. I was
sure.
like,
yep.
I don't know what it is about me and a deformed Bond villain, but like it's which is why, the fact that Rami Malek's character's got his face all messed up. I'm like, oh yeah, and he wears a mask all the time. Sign me up. I'm on board, 100%, ready to go.
Right.
But yeah, you know what? The fact that his eye ends up messed up and he's got a big scar through his eye, which is reminiscent of one of the iterations that we've had of Blofeld in the past. I'm not 100% sure which movie that would be from.
Right.
It is the iteration that Dr. Evil is kind of based on from the Austin Power films, right? The sort of bald, stroking the cat thing. It was the only thing. This Blofeld was missing a cat, which, I mean, I guess maybe that would have been a little tacky.
There was a cat there.
In there. Maybe
there was a cat.
Yeah, okay, there was a cat, but not in that iconic, like, on his lap stroking it.
Sure.
Yeah. Mr. Bigglesworth, what do you think we should do to 007?
Right.
But was so happy to have him back. I mean, he's the Joker to James Bond's Batman. Mm-hmm. He is the Dr. Claw to Inspector Gadget, to James Bond's Inspector Gadget. He is to me, in my mind, he is the quintessential arch nemesis of Bond. And so the fact that we've gone so long without him is a damn friggin', it's sacrilege. Is
Sure.
what it is.
Yeah.
But so glad to have him back. Gave him a 10. I thought, Christoph did an incredible, he's a menacing guy to begin with. Has got a great accent for it. Has got just everything about him. I was hooked. I was very happy with.
Okay. No, that's fair. I gave it a bit of a different score. I gave it
son of a gun.
a 3 out of 10.
Wow.
No, I'm totally kidding. I gave it a 10 as well.
Oh my God.
Listen, I absolutely adore Christoph Waltz. So obviously that plays a key role in my scoring. So it's a little biased. But yeah, I'm mirroring a lot of what you just said. So I found he's a perfect balance in both personality and skill to James Bond. And it was reminiscent of what we saw, and we haven't seen since, with Christopher Lee in A Man with a Golden Gun. You had these two kind of similar characters in that they had some similar traits, some similarities, but they were on the opposite end of the spectrum. One was evil or more sinister. One was, James Bond is quote unquote good, has his flaws, but for the most part, he's doing things for the greater good. So there was, I feel like it was that dynamic, but just to the next level because it's in modern cinema. It's brought to better life, and it's Christoph Waltz. And listen, I have to say this because I ripped on Silva's mouse tail, or whatever you want to call it, about mice eating each other and all that crap. Blofeld's meteorite monologue and kind of the give and take that Bond gave about Blofeld saying, this meteorite can't be stopped, and Bond's like, well, this one did. Kind of the give and take, and just how menacing it was and how mysterious he was in that whole monologue, to me just blew it out of the park compared to Silva's kind of monologue. So I loved everything about Blofeld, loved everything Christoph Waltz brought to this. And, Blofeld's cat, I actually kind of liked that it was just around, not necessarily on his lap, because it was a touch of the past, but still kind of a new take on it. So 10 out of 10. I agree with you in score. Wonderful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gadgets.
Sure.
I gave this an 8, which is a little bit of a step up again from creeping forward a little bit. We have a car.
We do.
One that was meant for him,
yes.
And then that's no longer the case. But I'll leave you a bottle of bubbly and take the car anyways.
Yeah.
One that
poor 009.
Yeah. Poor 009. Poor Sean Bean.
I forget. Was he 009?
I thought he was 009.
He might have been. I honestly forget.
Or 006.
It was 6 or 9. Yeah.
It was some sort of divisible by 3 00 agent.
It was some type of number that could be inverted and had, it was a different number.
Yes. Yeah. What?
It needed a line underneath it.
Yes. A car that, hopefully before given to 009 was going to be adequately supplied with ammunition. A car that's got some weird, disco gadgets and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That the car didn't necessarily need, but wicked awesome flamethrower out the back. Mm-hmm. Almost like a napalm thing, because it left burning. It left fuel on the car of Dave Bautista.
Right.
Who, let's not leave that out. Drax the Destroyer is in this film. And so that was really cool. We have a watch, not a laser watch, but a pretty cool watch.
Sure.
An explosive watch.
Yep.
It's sort of a fun, the way that's given to Bond in this kind of, Bond says, "What does the watch do?" And Q says, "Tells the time." but if you know what I mean, I do find that the alarm is rather loud, right? It's just like these fun little, and Bond's like, I think I know what you mean. And I'm like, in this, which is funny in it, but I'm thinking to myself in this situation, if it were me, I would have clarified. I would have just been like, hey, I'm pretty sure I know what you mean.
But just to be sure.
Because when he said that, I was thinking to myself, oh, it's going to emit a sound that's so horrific that it gives him an opportunity to, like,
right,
while the other guy's eardrums are bursting, it's going to give him an opportunity to escape. And it turns out it was just explosive. But that's cool, whatever.
Sure.
We've got the, like, nano tracker blood stuff, right? The subdermal implant thing.
Which, which was quite similar to, in concept and to some degree, what we saw in Casino Royale, but it was just a newer version, I guess.
A far more advanced version, I would say.
Yeah.
And that's really, like, there's not a lot else in this film as far as gadgets, but what we did, but those things I thought were executed so well that I still gave it an 8. I was very happy with it.
Cool. I also gave it an 8.
Nice.
There wasn't a whole lot, like you said, as far as, like, it's not the longest list we've ever had, but the torture chair was of interest. It was a little convenient how it automatically released Bond during the explosion. Like, I'm sure there's other security features on different devices that don't automatically release, but the smart blood was interesting. The more I'm thinking about it, like, the device that was in Casino Royale was kind of like the flip phone version, and this was called Smart Blood. So it's kind of interesting. Just the technology has been updated a little bit. But obviously, the bread and butter, where this score gets most of its weight from, the amazing £3 million Aston Martin, where it just starts purring and you hear it. And we were almost teased. Like, I forgot. I forgot if he actually got the car or not. And so we're teased. We're said, oh, there's 009's car, and you get not that. And I was like, oh, no. And then you just see him ripping down the highway a moment later, and you're like, yes.
Because I was watching it, I was thinking, oh, seriously? They're going to show me the car and not put him in it?
Yeah. Oh, beautiful, beautiful car. 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10.
Cool. Fights and action. Last time I gave this a 10. This time I gave it a 9. I think it's just a little bit of a step down. I don't think there's as much going on.
Sure.
But I think the stuff that is there is still great. Like, I think they're just continuing to hone the action, and not, and there was less of it this time, but I think that was okay because it kind of left me hungry.
Sure.
Because we've seen some, I would say particularly the Pierce Brosnan era, maybe got a little action fatigued after a while. You're just like, this is really impressive, but there's just so much. Is there any motivation, or are we just groin punching each other now? Like, what's, like, are we just fighting for the sake of fighting? Time out. Go to your room. Whereas this, any action that is there makes sense. There's motivation behind it. We've got car chases. We've got fist fights. We've got, even just guys being thrown, like the guy that gets thrown from the balcony in the meeting and lands on the boardroom table. Like, just stuff like that. Everything's so punchy and well done, and doesn't use... props to the Daniel Craig James Bond films, because these films haven't used shaky cam, which is a cheap trick that action films use when they do film they do action sequences that aren't that well choreographed. And then they just hand the camera to a guy that's hopped up on caffeine, and what you end up with is this horrific kind of, like, jittery, should we get this guy an ambulance kind of footage. So I gave it a 9. A little bit down from Skyfall, because I don't think anything could beat the shootout at the house with the helicopter and the house exploding and all that shit. But it was really good, very satisfying.
This is kind of creepy. I also gave it a 9. The Aston Martin.
We're returning to our James Bond.
Yeah.
There was like a couple films at the beginning where it was like
eerie.
Except for one or two exceptions, we were spot on.
Like exactly the same. So, yeah, the Aston Martin chase scene is so much fun to watch. Loved it. Again, we've commented on this throughout the whole series. Again, we're at the golden days. These are the golden years of action and fights. Everything in these action sequences just build to such an overall intensity. You've got the music, you've got the cinematic ability. There were some chase sequences, and I'm thinking of like the Mountain Clinic plane chase where there was like the music was like drums beating, and it was just intense, and I was just into it. So much better than the first 10 to 15 films, just because of the age representation of where things were cinematically. So much fun to watch. I've noted that Clinic in the Mountains did remind me a lot of that clinic in Her Majesty's Secret Service. So to me, I got a bit of a throwback there. I'm not sure if anyone else got that. I also liked some...
George Lazenby.
Oh, yeah. I liked some of the comedic touches as well that were used and sprinkled in some of these action sequences. So I loved when he's in the Aston Martin and hits the atmosphere button and New York starts playing. Or when there's the driver who's slowly kind of in front of James Bond and kind of blocking his way. And he clunks into like a meter on the side of the road, and he's like, oh, and then like a minute later the airbag blows. And it's just like little things that weren't overdone, so they didn't slow things down. They just added a bit of a chuckle here and there to lighten things up. So 8 out of 10. 8. Cool.
Bond Girl.
Yes.
I gave this a 7. Not the most memorable Bond girl. Good personality. A little bit irritating.
Which one? And which one are you referring to? Which, like, you're referring to?
I'm thinking of White's daughter.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
And I think that's why it scored so high, because what an interesting dynamic that we have this person who's got a bunch of inside information. What an interesting dynamic that our Bond girl is the daughter of a villain.
Yes.
So that was a lot of fun. It just, overall, I thought there was the odd time, or there was a couple moments where, we've been with you for 5 hours at this point, and now is when you say, "Oh, I know what the organization's called. Why didn't you ask?" What?
Yeah, exactly.
Like it, So there was a couple of things where it was like, okay, if you're going to be useful, be useful. If you're not going to be useful, wait in the car. Like,
right. Yeah.
But overall, fun dynamic. So, still no Vesper Lind.
No.
And no Honey Rider.
Nope.
But still a 7. Very, could have been much. We've had far worse.
Sure. Yeah. This is kind of getting weird. I guess it's kind of good. It's kind of interesting that we're ending by return here, or closing by return. We're hitting it back to our roots. I also gave it a 7.
Wow.
Now,
we will differentiate. We will differ on the last category of Bond song. I guarantee you that.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I also gave it a 0. Bond Girl was a 7. I counted both Bellucci and Mr. White's daughter. Bellucci, she didn't hurt it, but I didn't think she really helped the whole scoring. It just felt weird having this intimate scene between Bond and her, and it kind of reminded me of kind of the yesteryears of Bond, where the romantic sequences didn't make sense, because there's no reason for them to actually have a relationship. They're literally strangers who not only met at a funeral, they met at her husband's funeral, and their pillow talk isn't in line with a normal relationship. They're like kissing and talking about their deceased husband, and like he's asking about details of Spectre. So it just reminded me of those, I guess we could say, Sean Connery, Roger Moore, especially Pierce Brosnan days, where like the overall chemistry of the romantic situation just didn't make sense, and it just really didn't fit. So
weird that it's like, you're the one that killed my husband, aren't you? Yes, I killed your husband. Oh God, take me now, Bond.
Yeah, like, it's like, what? Oh, like this isn't what normal human beings would say. So, but that was only part of the score. The other part was Mr. White's Daughter. I, for the most part, enjoyed it. I mean, again, no Honey Rider, no Vesper. It was interesting that we delved more into this ongoing kind of peeling back of the layers. Like, you know, we all know James Bond history, and we see him find like the tape of Vesper Lynd's interrogation. But we see her with some layers peeled back, and we know that she's kind of upset with Bond about everything that's going on, and also some unresolved issues between her and her father. So there were more complex things going on, which was good. It was more resembling of actual human beings and actual human being stories. And it culminated to obviously them on the train having a sincere conversation, which I was a fan for. And the film concludes with them driving off. So, yeah, overall 7 out of 10. Decent.
Cool. Supporting characters. I gave this an 8.
Okay.
Which is down from a 10.
It is.
From Skyfall.
Wait, let me do the math here. And carrying the one. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's, almost 20%. You know, and honestly, I know what you're going to see, like any demerits that this film receives from you in this category. I know partially why it will be, and for me, it's not an issue. I didn't miss Felix again. Sure. I was like, you know what? The last time we saw Felix, he kind of pissed me off a little bit. So I don't really care. Sorry.
That's okay.
Q is fantastic. Like this is probably my favorite interaction with Q of all time, and it's so fun to me that it is a reminiscent but distinctively different dynamic between this Bond and Q, and the Bond Q relationships we've had in the past.
Yes.
This Bond is quite literally a thorn in Q's side. But they kind of get each other. But it's kind of playful at the same time.
Yep.
You know, I think there's a moment in this movie where Q says, "I really hate that man. I hate Bond so much. He's ruining my life." Almost, you know, puts his job in jeopardy. Does all these things. But just fun having. It was fun that we had a Q that was willing to bend and break the rules for the greater good instead of being this starchy old bureaucrat. You know, so that's fun. This kind of, you know, Bond, I forgot to mention to you that the smart blood technology is a little, it's sort of, you know, just coming out of the prototype stages, and so it's quite possible that we will have a loss of signal periodically for the first 48 hours, and then after that it should work perfectly fine. That it was just this like, you know, okay, I'll agree to give you 24 hours, and Bond kind of like
pushes it,
gives him the eyes, you know, he says 48 hours. That was a lot of fun.
Sure.
You know what? Moneypenny's great. This is I'm like, oh, good Lord. Moneypenny got invited over to Bond's apartment.
Yeah.
That's crossing milestones that we have not crossed before. You know, here's the thing. This is why the film got demerits from me.
Okay.
And perhaps it deserved more demerit. I was really excited at the end of Skyfall.
You were.
Because we had this amazing setup of like, okay, Mallory is M, and we have a Moneypenny, and there's the office, and there's the, like, oh my God, here we go. And then we didn't see that office, no, we did. We saw the office.
Briefly.
Briefly. And so that was okay. But what I'm realizing is that I wasn't excited for I'm like, oh cool, here's the I think I was just excited for the dynamic, the nostalgia of the whole thing, because I'm like, okay, the dynamic of this M and Bond is back, and then upon watching this film, I'm like, oh, but that wasn't that great of a dynamic. I just don't care for Mallory as M. And I was so, because M and Bond, Mallory, the male M, and Bond have kind of a, Bond, you're out of line. Bond, you're a pain in the ass. Bond, stop it. Do this. Stop being, insubordinate, or I will, you're going to cost us a lot, whatever. It's just like he's just constantly there to like reprimand Bond. There was something so beautiful about Judi Dench's M and Bond.
Sure. Yeah,
And I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that by the end of Skyfall, they had love for each other. They weren't in love with each other, but they cared about each other.
Yes.
Bond breaks down and cries when M dies. And there was just such a great working relationship of trust and poking at each other a little bit, right? Like when Bond is doing the word association thing and the guy says M and Bond responds bitch.
Yeah.
Which is like the best. I burst out laughing. I thought it was such a funny line.
It was.
Especially because of Judi Dench's like facial response when she's just like, oh.
Grow up, 007.
Yeah, you know what? I wanted, because of the end of Skyfall, I wanted to come into this thing and walk out of it going, yes. Like you put the baseball on the tee and I hit it off perfectly.
Yep.
When in reality, I feel like the ball was put on the tee and then they accidentally hit the tee instead and it flopped around and the ball just kind of hit the ground and tee-ball. It just wasn't, I just didn't care for him very much.
Yeah.
So I get, but it's still an 8.
That's solid. Yeah.
It's still a really good score. And I'm saying it's probably I wanted the film to do well, so I maybe scored it higher than I should have.
Sure.
But an 8.
Yeah, that's fair. I did give it a 9 out of 10. And
Despite no Felix.
I did subtract the 1 point for the reason you suggested, because Felix only got a mention and he wasn't actually in the film. Something I literally did forget. For some reason, I thought he came back in this film. So it was really Casino Royale was his one shining moment. And then after that, he either wasn't there or it was not much to write home about. So
yeah, he's kind of a douchebag in Quantum of Solace.
He is not, but he's just not, he's not as cool as he was in Casino Royale. So yeah, I mean, I think he's still better than he was in the previous 22 films or 20 or wherever that, when he wasn't really that much of a recurring character. But I was sad. I was hoping he would have returned in this film. For some reason, I thought he did. I love Q. I love how Q, more in Skyfall, this was the case as well. But in this, he is just a recurring, periodic, on-location character. It's not just the Q of yesteryear where he shows up for literally 2 minutes and then is gone. So I do love that. I love how he's kind of integral to the plot and James Bond's success. That's fun. M is great. I love Ralph Fiennes. I'll agree. There is definitely a different dynamic than there was with Judi Dench. And I think it's just different. It's kind of like when you have one parent and then you replace it with a step parent, or vice versa. It's not that one is better than the other. It's just different. Moneypenny is great. I think it was a fun dynamic when Bond kind of seemed like he was a bit jealous, or at least a little curious when she had a friend over and he's like, who's that? Who's that? Mr. White, a little
bit of jealousy.
Yeah. Mr. White is back as the Pale King. Andrew Scott is in this as C. I'm counting him as a supporting character. Whether it's this or when he plays Moriarty in Sherlock, I feel like Andrew Scott is so effective at making a viewer hate the character that he plays. Like, it's a gift. Like this, or Sherlock, you just despise the villain or the villainous person he's playing. In this case,
he's basically the British Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah. Except I'm assuming the difference between them is Andrew Scott puts on an act. Billy Bob Thornton, they just throw on a GoPro on someone and they just let him go.
Yeah. Yeah.
The one thing.
Any direction? No. Just read the lines. It's fine.
The one thing I do want to mention, and I mentioned this in Casino Royale when there was a couple locations I had visited. There's a scene maybe like 3/4 of the way through the film where Q and Moneypenny go find M, and he's sitting in a restaurant. And I've actually been to this restaurant in London. It's a really cool restaurant. I have to say this. It's called Rules Restaurant. And it was established in 1798. It's the oldest restaurant in London. And it was a very interesting dining experience there. It's the type of place where they don't let you like pull out a cell phone. Like, I wanted to take a picture because it's such a unique place. Like, it looks like it hasn't aged in 300 years. Like, it hasn't changed, that is. Like, it's just like floor to ceiling pictures of hunting lodges and pictures of game and like all these old paintings. And it's very prim and proper. I wouldn't say it's fancy. Like, it's not like a Michelin star restaurant where you go and you pay $1,000 for like a slice of crap on a plate with some drizzle all over it. It was just very unique, and it felt like an old traditional British restaurant, and it felt like walking into history, and it's very cool. I had to give it a couple seconds of airtime because I have been there. I did not know it was from a James Bond film, so it was just kind of a coincidental. I was there. It was in a Bond film, but very cool. I remember I watched this, I've only seen this film maybe 2 or 3 times. And when I saw kind of M sitting at the table, I was like, that looks really familiar. And it was.
That's exciting. That was going to be my question. Did you seek this place out because of Bond, or did you seek it out because it's the oldest restaurant? It
was just because it was the oldest restaurant. And it was in a neighborhood that we were checking other stuff out. So it was like, oh, yeah, let's hit this up. And it wasn't like, hey, mortgage your house to go to this really stupid, expensive restaurant. Like, it was still reasonable.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Bond song.
This I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued because you kind of left a little bit of a teaser that I'm thinking it's going to get a low score, but we'll see. Or high.
I gave this, for the first time ever, for a Bond song and sequence.
Okay.
And the return, and this, you know what, this doesn't even factor into it, but it can. The return of the gun barrel sequence to the beginning of the film, where it belongs. Yeah. What a joyous moment that was.
There's been a few things that you've been consistent. You are a rock solid as far as you haven't changed. You want your gun barrel sequence at the beginning. You want Spectre and Blofeld. You want the kids to turn down their rock music. You have stayed upon your morals, and you will not change.
Well, yeah, you know what? For me, it's the same thing as like, so take the episodic Star Wars films. Sure. And then take the spin-offs, which are Rogue One. Yep. Solo. And then the upcoming Rogue Squadron by Patty Jenkins. Mm-hmm. The episodic films have all had an opening crawl.
Right.
Which Lucasfilm has gone on record and saying, well, that's a Skywalker saga thing. The other films don't get those. I don't care what it is.
Right.
The video game, the Star Wars video games all have opening crawls.
Well, yeah.
I don't care what it is. If it's a Star Wars movie, give me an opening crawl. Stay true to form.
Sure.
And so, so I'm the same way, right? If you're going to give me a Bond song sequence, have some unnecessary naked women dancing around in it. If you're going to start a Bond film off, have the white circles come across the screen, hit the
Sure.
other end of the screen, and then come back as a larger circle with James Bond walking in it, shoots the screen, the blood comes down, right? It's just, it's, don't change it.
Mm-hmm.
I gave this a 10.
What?
Yeah, the sequence was fantastic.
Have you given a 10 before?
No.
I thought
not to Bond song.
Oh.
The sequence was amazing and felt like a sort of a strange, like it's the octopus is there obviously because of like the Spectre logo and stuff, but then also was so reminiscent of Octopussy in a lot of ways. Just an amazingly fun, captivating, great to watch sequence. A song that although I wouldn't necessarily say is 100% a true Bond style song, gave me chills listening to it and just felt appropriate. It just fit really well. And ultimately what it came down to is, as I was watching it, I was feeling a 10 and I thought to myself, but I've never given a 10. Can I give a 10 to this? Is this the one I've liked the most? And the answer was yes, it's the one I've liked the most. And there's nothing I wish it was giving me that I feel like it isn't. And so therefore I was able to give it a 10.
Can you real quick, what did you score Skyfall and what did you score Casino Royale?
Oh, I have no idea.
Okay, that's okay. I'm just curious, but not tens.
I think
not tens.
No,
obviously.
not tens. I think Skyfall was like I think it was an 8.
Okay.
Or a 9, 8 or 9.
Yep.
And then Casino Royale I didn't like. Casino Royale, there was because you were like, "Oh, this one gives me chills. This one's amazing. It's so good." And I'm like, what are you drinking? Like, it's not that good. Right? Because it was also like, I was like, there's no naked women and I was having that existential crisis where I was like, why do I want this so much? And it was just like, well, I think it's because we've had it for 20 some odd other films.
Right.
It feels weird for it not to be there.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So I don't remember what I gave it, but I think it was like a 5 or a 6. It didn't score well.
I do remember that now. I definitely remember, just as a side note, with the James Bond Casino Royale, I definitely was like saying, I feel it in my fingers, I feel it in my toes, James Bond is all around us, or so the story goes. Something like that. But for this film, I would argue that in 2015, when this song was on the radio, in which it was, I would argue with you. I will pick this part from you. I do think this song has a specific Bond style to it, or has a Bond essence to it. But that's just a matter of taste. I can see something different than you can see. That's just neither here nor there. I've had a very different experience. I've known some things going ahead of these films that I've kind of been playing in the back of my mind. So like when I would score Quantum of Solace or when I'd score Casino Royale, whether it be the villain or the Bond song, I knew in the back of my head what was coming. So I would gauge things and score and say, I would go, okay, I know that this is coming. So right now I'll give this a score because I'm reserving this for that score. I went into this thinking it's probably not a 10. It's not Casino Royale. I thought it would be about a 9. When I watched it, I did downgrade it to an 8. So an 8, a very respectable score. For some reason, just when I was watching it, it didn't hold up quite as a 9 like Skyfall. But I do think the song is fantastic, very Bond-esque. The montage, the flashbacks of Vesper and Mr. Silva are magic. Like magic.
Everybody. Lashif is in there. Like it's a whole montage of everything we've gotten from Daniel
wonderful.
Craig.
So it's a very strong 8. And if we were having a brisk cup of coffee, I would probably say, sure, maybe a 9, but I will give it an 8 and I will be confident that I can live with that. So an 8 out of 10.
Sure. One-liners. What do you got?
I actually have a few. We've taken a break. I've got some that I loved. So,
all right.
Not all from James Bond, believe it or not. I loved when M was confronting C, and M was going to arrest C, and C says, bring me in, like on what grounds? And when badass badass M says, poor taste in friends, I was like, oh yeah.
Poor taste in friends.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because C instantly gets it. C's like, ah, shit.
Yeah. The other one was like literally 3 seconds later, where C tries to pull a gun on M, and then again badass M says, and now we know what C stands for, careless. And he's like holding the bullets in his hand. I was like, oh yeah, just like, but Zam, like get him. Woo.
So 2 thoughts about this scene. One is one of my favorites also happens in this scene.
Oh, okay.
It's when he shuts all his computers down.
Okay.
And because up until this point, like it was revealed earlier that C's monitoring MI6 agents, and M's like,
sure.
Are you watching MI6 agents? And C's like, we watch everybody. Right. And so, excuse me. So then M looks at C in this scene and says, it's annoying being watched, isn't it? Right. Like, it's just like this, we're just doing what you did to us thing. Yeah. So that's good. The other thing is good. When he said, and you know what? I knew it wasn't going to happen. Because it's just like it would be reflected in the rating. I don't know if they could get away with this in a Bond film. I don't know if I would have wanted them to get away with it in a Bond film. Okay. But when he said, now I know what C stands for, it's like time slowed down, and I had a lot of time to like think this whole process through in my head before he answered. And I'm thinking to myself, no, you're not going to say it, are you? You're not gonna. I mean, he is. It's. You'd be well within your right to say it, but are you seriously about to drop the C word on us? And he didn't. He went with careless, which is a cool line.
Yep.
It's a cool line. It for me, because the other thing had popped into my head. It wasn't as big of a oh snap moment.
Sure.
Right. It wasn't as big of a mic drop moment. And you know what? It would have been a very bold thing for them to do. And I think ultimately I'm glad that they didn't.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
But I don't think I would have complained either. I don't think I would have been like, I don't like M because of this. It would have been like, oh boy, this film's got balls. And that would have been, but yeah.
I've got one more quote. It is James Bond this time. It was when they were in the Alps or wherever, I think it was the Alps, at that clinic, and there were 2 security guards on him. He like throat punches one, and then I think like punches one in the abdomen, regardless, doesn't matter. And then the one that was punched like stands up to come closer to Bond, and Bond just like points at him, and he's like, no, stay. And it's just funny. It's great.
It's so good. Yeah. So good. Rotten Tomatoes, you have a question for me, and I'm so friggin' ready for this.
All right, we've guessed all the 25 other James Bond films. Where do you think this film ranks on the tomato meter? Right now, the only spot open is 18th.
18. Okay. Shit. Okay. Well, I'm gonna say. I have a bad track record with this. Okay, I don't know if it's right, but I'm gonna say 18.
Nailed it. You had it all along.
Lord, I should buy a lottery ticket.
It got 63% on Rotten Tomatoes. Of note, Thunderball got a better score. You Only Live Twice, Living Daylights. Never say never again. Like a lot of smut and junk.
I will go on mostly because I don't care because I'll be dead. But if I die first,
sure,
and you want to have inscribed on my tombstone, there aren't 17 films. There aren't 17 better Bond films than Spectre. Then please, by all means, because I will argue that all day. Because there isn't. There aren't 17 other better Bond films.
No,
there just isn't.
Sure.
Something before I give the final score here.
Mm.
Something I've thought about probably every Bond film since we started, and I
Sure.
keep thinking to myself, I should mention that in the episode this week, and then I just never, ever, 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 ever have.
Mm.
And it's really, it would have been super appropriate to mention it in Skyfall, because Skyfall was all about like the true identity of undercover agents getting out, and this being an issue.
Yep.
Obviously, an iconic line in these Bond films. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm dying here. Obviously, an iconic line in these Bond films is Bond introducing himself. Bond. James Bond. And every time he does it, I go, oh, yeah, there's the line. And then I also immediately following that think to myself, is that not a security issue? Like, should we maybe, like, you're in the enemy turf. Like, you're doing some high, sneaky stuff here.
Yeah.
Like, at what point do you come up with a name other than your actual name so that you're not just constantly going, well, hi, I'm here to oversee this operation.
Like Mr. Beach. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's the odd time that he does do it, right? But, like, most of the time, he's just like, it's Bond.
Or he blows
James
it right
Bond.
away. Like, he doesn't actually use the alias.
Yeah, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, like, at this point, surely everyone who, like, all of the major player dicks of the world must know your name.
Sure.
Everyone's aware of you.
Yeah.
So stop flaunting that. I don't know. Anyways, that's just nitpicky. But again, you can't have a Bond film at this point where he doesn't say it, right? He just has to.
Yeah, you have to.
Final score. So the reigning champion up until this point is Skyfall with a 9.1.
Sure.
Which beats out Casino Royale, which had a 6.7, which was the highest one prior to that. Obviously, if you've been paying attention, this film didn't beat Skyfall for me.
Sure.
Which means we can say definitively that going into No Time to Die, Skyfall is my quintessential Bond film.
It's not a bad statement. It's respectable.
Spectre. I don't know why I said that like Dracula. Spectre. Spectre gets an 8.6.
Wow.
Giving it second place
Okay.
as far as quintessential Bond films go.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's respectable.
8.6.
I gave it an 8.5.
Wow.
Which makes sense because a lot of our scores were quite similar.
Yes.
So that means for me, number one is Casino Royale at 9.3.
Yeah.
Spectre is 2 at 8.5.
Wow. Okay. And then Skyfall.
Skyfall is 3 at 7.5, and the fourth place is Goldfinger at 6.5.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think Goldfinger is my fourth as well.
Interesting.
Our top four are the same.
A little bit different order here and there, but close.
But close. Which, again, I think speaks volumes for our ranking system. Right? That we both fundamentally got down to the same answers.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so.
We're both flawed. Here, I want to run some questions with you personally.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So I did mention this is the first time Blofeld was here since Diamonds Are Forever, so it was a long hiatus for him. The first question, do you agree with me? Quantum of Solace, for me, is the least favorite of the Daniel Craig years. Would you not agree? Yeah. It's the Deathly Hallows Part 1, where it's like, we got Casino Royale, we got to bridge our way to Skyfall and Spectre. It's just to get to A to B. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would say I would do you one better. Instead of saying Deathly Hallows Part 1, I would say it's Mockingjay Part 1.
Ooh, much better. Yes.
Literally even less actiony than, like, it's just like there's nothing. It's
Right.
literally the first half of a film. And then nothing.
Well put. Because at least Deathly Hallows Part 1 is bearable. So it's a bad comp.
Because everyone loves camping.
Who doesn't, really? My other question for you, and I was thinking about this and I almost texted you, but we were so close to recording, I'm like, I have to just ask you on the show so everyone else can hear it. And I honestly don't know the answer to this question because it's been a long journey, both in time and emotional journey that we've changed as a result of this series. But I want to know, we went into this series and you knew nothing about James Bond. You knew he was kind of a womanizer jerk. There's some gunfights, there's some cars, there's some gadgets. You knew some things, and I don't want to speak for you, but I feel like part of this was an experience to expose yourself and find out what the big talk was. But I feel also it was an intellectual journey that you were like, hey, this makes sense. We should do this. It could be a fun or at least interesting series. But are you a James Bond fan now? Like, if someone asks you on the street, are you a James Bond fan?
Without putting any thought into it, I would say I am ecstatic by the fact that I have 2 007 pop figures on my shelf.
Right.
And so that's,
Yeah.
for no other, like, I feel like that's the tell right there.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, are there some shit Bond films? Yeah, absolutely. 100%
For sure.
there are.
Yep.
But there's some shit Christmas movies. I'm still a fan of Christmas movies.
Right. Yeah.
There's at least one god awful Bill Murray movie. But I love Bill Murray.
Hey, you know what? Ghostbusters is a good film. Don't rip it.
Oh, shut up. So yeah, no, I would say at the end of the day, fundamentally, I am a James Bond fan. And
Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
It was a rough series at times.
It was. Yep.
But I have zero regrets about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's fun. I like the ability, if it comes up in conversation, I like the ability to be able to truthfully claim I've seen all the James Bond movies. I've seen every one.
Sure. Yeah.
And I have a list for you. I've ranked them.
Right.
I like that. I think that's what I set out to do. I set out to have seen them all. And I'm happy that I've done it.
Cool.
So.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
I would ask you, but I know the answer. You're a James Bond fan.
I am. I would be very quick to point out, like you would to other people, there's a lot of trash. I might even say I'm a Daniel Craig James Bond fan. There's a very, very marked difference, but yeah, I guess I would say to a certain degree, but maybe with an asterisk, I'm a James Bond fan, and then I'd explain a bit further.
Sure.
I don't know if I'd ever watch all 26 again, but there's maybe a few select ones that I'd watch outside the Daniel Craig, maybe.
Yeah, and you know what? I would say I'm definitely a Daniel Craig James Bond fan. I would say I'm a Skyfall junkie. I love that film. Like even just not even as a Bond film, just as a film.
Right.
Skyfall was somewhat formative for me, I think, as a film fan. Which, you know what, at the age of, like in 8 days I'll be 28.
Dang.
And so at this point in life, to be seeing films that are forming who I am as a film fan,
sure.
They're fewer and further between than when I was younger.
Right.
But I think this one stands out. This is a gem. It's a diamond in the rough for sure.
Yeah. No, I'd agree. Yeah.
All right. Do what you do, man.
Perfect.
Do the do.
Well,
I don't think we can say do the do. I think that's copyrighted.
Don't.
Just do the housekeeping.
Everyone, please check out our links below: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Like, follow, subscribe. Check out our Patreon and merchandise page. You can help support the show, pay some bills. If you're not at that level of support, no worries. Thank you so much for listening. even just leaving a like or a comment. We love hearing back from you. And until we review No Time to Die, goodbye regarding James Bond. Goodbye.
Yeah. And like legit, we're in the process of doing wanting to do some big upgrades that will make the show easier for us to do, will help deliver a better product to you. Will make it infinitely easier to bring guests on the show, like infinitely easier, 100% easier. And so, yeah, so really, really looking forward to that prospect. And honestly, $1 a month is a total boost to us. So if you can, then please do. And remember, if you're wanting to hook up with someone you just met, the best route into their pants is to claim that you've killed one of their loved ones.